This episode of Phone Booth Fighting, Frank, is brought to you, to our listeners, by Low T Nation. Of course, Brandon is helping everybody out over at Low T Nation if they are dealing with the chronic condition of low testosterone. You can explain to everybody what that's about.
Well, I mean, basically, any type of imbalance in your hormones is always going to make you feel off, unmotivated, unfocused. Depression is a big sign of low testosterone. So just besides trying to look better and be fit, it's all about being healthy and being a productive man, you know, to your wife, to your children, to your work. And so far, working with Brandon over there at Low T, it's one of the most convenient and safest ways so far that I've discovered anybody doing any of the Low T type of administration. You know, it's delivered directly at your house after you've already gone and done blood work. You call them up, they point you in the right direction as far as which physicians, because a large part of their business is not only just helping you as a customer or as a person, but also working with doctors how to properly administer the testosterone therapy, not just being somebody looking to make a quick buck and just firing hormone out there, you know, on different medications just because it's the new hot thing, but making sure that people are running at their optimal level and people are taking the right amounts. That's the most important thing about this, is precision and balance.
Go to lowtnation.com for more information. They're based in Georgia, but that doesn't matter because wherever you are in the United States, they will work with a lab, with doctors in your area to take care of you. And then, as Frank said, the shipments come directly to your door. Brandon's very hands-on. Those guys will work with you directly and walk you through the process. lowtnation.com, and let them know that Richard and Frank from Phone Booth Fighting sent you. This podcast also brought to you by Earth's Brew, the plant-based taste of Nirvana, Frank. I always keep a box of that, a couple of packets in my gym bag after jiu-jitsu practice. Put it in one of those little shaker cups, mix it up with some water. And for a vegan like myself, you can't do better than that health-conscious functional tea that provides relaxation within minutes, and that's particularly important to me when I'm looking for that post-workout athletic recovery.
Absolutely. And that thing that's most important, everybody knows, and we preach it and we get it hammered into us, is all about rest and recovery. And if you get home and you've had a long day of training and you're working hard, or, you know, something Laura and I could talk about now is when you're traveling around and you're out of the country and you're taking these long flights, you have to get your proper rest. And Earth's Brew is one of the natural supplements that I found at only 15 calories, so you don't have to worry about it, you know, bouncing your caloric intake over the limit. So I can't use it as an excuse for why I'm getting fat on my trips.
It's not due to Earth's Brew.
Not due to Earth's Brew. But it helps me wind down and calm down and get into that state of mind to relax, especially for those guys like myself that your brain is constantly on the go, wandering around, so that way you can get into that mode to get a good night's sleep, which again is so important for your training.
Plant-based for vegans like me, or if you're doing a low-carb keto diet, it is compatible with all of that as well. No artificial sweeteners or coloring. And if you go to earthsbrew.com right now, enter the promo code PhoneBooth. That's promo code PhoneBooth. You get 10% off of all orders at checkout.
So how many do you take at a time right now?
I take one because that's what the instructions say to
Travis
do, Frank.
and I have, we might have to put it on the, what's the thing called we do now too?
What's that?
What's our other thing we do that people can 99 cents join up on?
Patreon.
Patreon. Thank you. Come on, man.
Yes.
This is the guy that was looking for the mic for the last minute, dude. Come on.
Yes.
We might have to do a Patreon challenge. How many Earth's Brew can you take at once?
All right, now I don't. That might be irresponsible. Let's.
It's all natural. It should be good for you, right?
I'm in.
You're in, right?
I'm in. I'm doing
there
it.
we go. We have our first contestant.
That's right. Laura, my job basically with Frank is to get him to follow the directions in all walks of life. Either they're literally printed somewhere or they're figuratively. It's an unwritten rule.
Something tells me that you don't follow all directions at all times.
Okay, well, we'll get into that.
Okay.
We'll get into that.
Oh,
right.
no, don't let the appearance. This is my stick in the mud, dude.
Let's start the show. Welcome to Phone Booth Fighting, everybody, your twice-weekly podcast. It is available in iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or wherever podcasts are available. Absolutely free of charge, of course, and it is hosted by myself, Richard Hunter, and this guy,
Frank Mir,
the two-time UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Exciting episode today, Frank, because here inside the Phone Booth Fighting bunker, deep within the bowels of stately Mirror Manor in suburban Las Vegas. We have a guest joining us. It is Laura Sanko from UFC's Fight Pass, from UFC's Contender Series, from Invicta. That's really where I first came to know you. The longtime member of the broadcast team there on Invicta. So welcome.
Thank you for having me in the bunker of the bowels of, where am I?
Stately Mirror Manor.
Stately Mirror Manor.
Suburban Las Vegas.
In suburban Las Vegas.
Like the Batcave.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you were able to accommodate us and come down. I know you're busy with your travel, and you're coming down and giving up time with the child. And Travis hooked it up and got us all together.
He did. I appreciate being here, guys.
Very accommodating, right? Travis is the man.
Incredibly, he went out. He bought me Thai food.
No, he called us up and said, "Look, I'm getting her Thai food, or I'm going to help Laura because she's running late." They said you had a pretty bad travel experience coming in, a little rough.
I did. I think there was a little bit of a confusion on what day I was coming in, so I had neither a car nor a room.
But where do you
roll
travel
with it.
From? So the upside of it, Travis has stepped in.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Travis is. He just. I think he's just a good friend to have. I have a friend of mine a long time ago used to put it this way. He said he's the kind of guy that passes the flat tire test. Like if you had a flat tire, he'd come help you.
Now here's the bad part about being born and raised in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I did this with you too. I have friends that if you're a really good friend, I start wondering, I get suspicious. I had that suspicious period. I'm all, okay, what's the catch?
Oh, I see.
Why are you okay, no one does everything for nice, just free. In Vegas, usually people kind of always have that, it's a hidden agenda. I'll hook you up, buddy, but I'm going to hit you with this later.
Yeah.
And now Travis has entered that realm where I'm like, really? Are you genuinely this cool of a dude? You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah. Well, we'll watch him. We'll see if another shoe drops at some point. So Laura is in town to do the Contender Series, which of course is every Tuesday night now, exclusively on Fight Pass. And we're, I think, 4 episodes. About to do the 4th episode.
Yes, this will be week number 4.
Yeah, I've enjoyed watching these. Now, for anybody who has seen the show, you're the person who interviews the fighters when they come out of the octagon. Snoop Dogg has designated your little area the Olive Garden for some reason.
I think it was just the one weekend when I was wearing an olive colored dress.
Oh, that's what it was.
Okay. It varies from Tuesday to Tuesday. What's up? We have someone joining us.
Surprise visit.
Surprise,
well, look at this. Donald Cowboy Cerrone has just walked into the bunker. What's up, man? How are you? Good to see you. Come on over. What we're going to do is reconfigure on the fly. We're going to put you over there next to Laura. Sorry to break that bad news to you. There you go. Okay. Can we see him on camera, or do we need to reposition the camera?
What we should do is switch him and her because he's taller.
There you go. Would you guys mind just switching seats? Okay.
This is going to be somewhat awkward, but...
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Travis reconfigure. I guess we'll just do all this live on the air. Yeah. I got to tell you, Cowboy, we've really never literally had somebody just show up on the show, just walk in. This is Cowboy style.
It would be Cowboy, right?
If I were to script it, I would not imagine it going any other way. So do we have a microphone for him? Where's our other mic? There we go. All right.
Now, should I scoot over, or can I sit this awkwardly close to him the whole time?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
As long as you're
I was pretending like it was for the shot, but I don't actually know what the shot is.
If it gets too handsy or something, let us know, and we'll take it up with HR.
All right.
Yeah.
Due to logistics, you're going to have to deal with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anybody says anything, you had to. It's for the show.
Yes. Perfect.
All right, so now Laura is here. Donald Cowboy Cerrone is here, and boy, the show just got even a little more exciting. So how'd you? Sorry, Laura, I didn't.
No.
Like
Listen,
Bob Hope walks onto the set of the Tonight Show unannounced. Everybody's too young to get that reference, but that's something Bob Hope used to do back when Johnny Carson hosted the Tonight Show. Is he would come on periodically out of nowhere unannounced. They would just play his entry music, and he would walk onto the set. Bob, so you're like our Bob Hope.
There you go.
Cowboy. What do we owe this pleasure to?
No, nothing. I was just driving home. Called my buddy Trav, and he said he was on his way over here. I said, well, I'll come on by.
Good.
Nice.
Is this on the way back to Colorado?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
All right. Is the RV parked outside?
It's at the new UFC Institute.
Okay.
Oh, is that where you keep it at now when you come in?
They got a big lot there for me.
Nice.
So Dane, I need some RV hookups there, but he ain't got them yet. So
excellent, excellent. All right. Well, we were just talking. We'll get into stuff with Cowboy too. We were just talking to Laura about the new Contender Series on Fight Pass.
I know my buddy Phil Haas fighting tomorrow night.
Probably sure
tomorrow night.
Around. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. You know what? I have not attended one of these live yet. I've watched them on Fight Pass, but what I'm anxious to do is I'm anxious to be there live because I realized I've never seen a full-on fight in a space that small. Like, I've been in the gym when people are sparring. I've been in bigger places, even like independent shows. But if you think about it, that's a rare opportunity to see guys go 100% in a space that small.
It's really cool, and the acoustics in there, the lack of crowd on one hand is weird. And I asked some of the fighters about, they of course they're in the zone when they're in the middle of a fight. But I have had some of the fighters say that the weirdest thing is not being announced, and fighting out of and weighing in at, and none of it's just fight. I mean, the pace of the show is incredible.
And I could imagine energy-wise. I mean, I'm used to in a fight, you land a shot, the crowd goes ooh, you know what I mean? Like that is part of.
It's very quiet.
The experience of fighting.
People are there and people are engaged, and the people that are there are like 5 feet from the cage. But I don't know, there's maybe 40 people watching. I'm not good at counting that few people, I guess. But the commentators are, in separate booths. We've got Snoop and Uriah kind of up in one area. And then our normal...
well, that's good, because otherwise everybody in the gym would have a contact high. So it's probably
It doesn't.
best.
I wish it did, but you can have some.
Yeah.
They had to nix him smoking up on air because it was so strong in there the first 2 weeks that we were all like, I couldn't remember anything that happened.
Plus, some of the stuff he says during, I could imagine as a fighter, I find kind of distracting. Like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
My favorite thing is I've toggled back and forth on the commentary. Have you seen any of these yet, Donald?
I have
with the Snoop commentary. You know the story, right? Sure. Like you get the alternate commentary with him. And the best thing is, even if you just know a little jiu-jitsu, is listening to Snoop's commentary, because he'll key in on something and he'll go, oh, he's done. This is done. Right here, he's done. This is over. This is over. And there'll be a pause and you'll hear Uriah go, now, that's called half guard, Snoop. That's like, he doesn't call him out, but he has to kind of clean it up. There's a lot of.
Did you ever watch that one Iron Circle that they did for a little while on the?
No, I don't think so.
It was the different rap stars and different, like I think Mayweather had a team. Yeah. They did kind of like an IFC type team fighting.
Yeah.
And it was bad like that too. Like as far as like some of the coaching, I think T.I., one of the rappers, like you see him commentating. Did you ever hear?
I need to go look this up. This is incredible.
I think they called it the Iron Circle or shit.
Listen, I barely watch UFC fights, let alone.
It was one of those train wrecks I had to.
So I can't imagine why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
All right, so I have to ask then, because Cowboy just got here. Laura, you don't know this backstory. I'm going to fill you in very quickly.
All right, fill me in.
Our listeners are still reeling from the repercussions of what happened earlier in the week. We had Cowboy set up for an interview, but he didn't know he was set up.
He was
for the
doing
interview.
his, the pre-fight. What do we call it now? The
media tour.
Media tour. Thank you. So we were his first one on deck to talk to him. Now, he doesn't know that. No fighter knows who the fuck they're talking to in that media tour until about 5 minutes before you get going. Like, you're talking first to KMVT from there. You're like, whatever, dude. Mm-hmm. Just I'll answer the phone.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, and Frank is new to this, okay? Because being on the media side of it, I've been dealing with this for years. It's a radio deal. It's always early in the morning, 9 a.m., sometimes a lot earlier than that. And every 10 minutes, they're going to put you on with a different radio station. And the best part, guys, has been watching Frank adapt to this, because he gets mad now. Like he was on the other side of it, where he's like, oh, another one of these. Right. But now that he's on the interviewing side of it, we got off I won't say any names, but we got off, when was that? 9 months ago, maybe?
Yeah.
We had a fighter on, and the fighter was just kind of on autopilot. Not...
Well, you are on autopilot.
Yeah.
Especially because people don't understand, like, for that hour, it's the same fucking 7 questions.
I'm there with you, buddy.
How'd your camp go?
And my thing was that a 9 a.m. hour-long thing, and then immediately following that, I had media day. So I was like, I'm going to fucking do this, and then I'm going to go answer the same 7 questions in media day.
Hence where my anger came from, was that we asked, because I've been on that side almost as many times as you.
Sure.
Right? So I've answered those questions. I know the routine. I know that it's going to be the same boring fucking 7 retarded. How do you feel? What's your game plan? What do you think he's going to do? Who do you want to fight next? What do you think this means for your career? Like, same shit. So we had questions that nobody else was asking. I'm like,
well, let's go. Let's fire them away.
I was like, me. I'm like, we thought this through. Rich
Yeah.
and I,
Yeah,
we're not the dumbest team out there. So I was like, I'm going to ask a couple questions that are interesting to help, just kind of change the pace for the guy.
Right.
And he still just fucking dialed it in like, yeah. I'm like, holy fuck, dude, I just fucking really just set you up with a really cool,
Yeah.
all right, look, everybody's saying this, but I think this is a factor in the fight because of this. And no one's pointing that out.
Right.
What do you think about that?
When he got off the phone, he was he was so hot. And it was just funny because I was like, now you're on my side of it. Now you see what that's like.
But logistically, you're really good at breaking shit down. I mean, I remember back in the WC days, you're always spot. I mean, you break shit down so well and speak very proper. I, on the other hand, do not. So I wouldn't be a very good commentator.
Well,
like Snoop,
what is
me and
so-
Snoop
That's
would be
what we
side by
need.
side.
That is
I don't know.
what
Are
we
you fucking
need.
done? Yes, he is.
Oh
he
my
is.
gosh.
Well, if you
Oh,
wanna
that's
try-
side
you know
guard? Oh, okay.
I do the ACB now twice a month. I fly over there. We commentate for all the Russians and all the basically it's the #1 organization that's not in the U.S. right now.
Sure.
Fucking awesome fights. There's no lag time in between. So we do 24 fights where UFC would do 7.
Yeah.
Because we don't interview
Yeah.
people. It's
Rock and roll.
fight, go. It's hell on your bladder. But if you ever want to come out with me, man, sit there. We can do a 3-man team if you want to,
I'll just go, It's in Russia?
Yeah, well, some of them. I was in UK. In fact, we have another one in Sheffield.
I'll go
UK, China, Japan.
those places.
We've had one here in the U.S. We'll probably do more, hopefully, in the future. And then Canada. Let's see, where's the next one? I know I'm going to Russia the next 2 this month, but then I'm
Part
going
of Russia.
Grozny, so Chechnya.
Do you only have certain parts that you go to? That you're willing to
Yeah,
travel?
you don't want to go to.
We don't want to get into this on the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Then I get hate mail.
Yeah.
Are there certain parts of Russia you're not allowed to go to? Have you been
No,
banned from certain parts of Russia?
No, not
Oh,
banned.
okay.
But,
Okay.
But we're one of the UK ones in Sheffield. September we'll be out there. That's a lot of fun.
I'm excited.
Maybe he'll just show up.
Yeah,
like,
you can just-
like today on
I'll
the
just bring you in.
podcast.
No,
Yeah.
the chances of me buying a plane ticket to Russia are 0.
Well, I'm sure if you agree to come on, we can accommodate
All right,
a plane
perfect.
ticket.
So
Perfect.
we had this interview set up the other morning. Back to my story. And so I come over. Frank's not what you would describe as a morning person. So I was on my way to the brothel, to my day job. So I had to stop on the way. I brought all my gear in and everything. We all set up. So Frank's sitting here and he's like, your shirt was halfway on. That's what I remember. You had just bothered to put a shirt
Why didn't I get a
halfway on.
courtesy text like, "Hey, bitch, answer the phone"? Like you and I
Well-
are friends like that.
But because it was, I didn't know the situation, what was going on. I didn't want to be like, oh fuck, now this motherfucker is going to track me down for work. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you're dodging the UFC, then I don't want to be associated with those guys. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
all right, we're boys. If I'm not going to use,
It wasn't an intentional fucking blow off. It was just I'm still sleeping.
No, I mean, I didn't know. But like I said, I don't want to be that to cross those lines. Like, we're friends. I don't want to be like, I call you up to take advantage of the fact, like, hey, it's before a fight. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you know.
sure.
So Travis texted you the picture, Frank falling asleep in his coffee, and then you saw that. Now, what was your thought? Because you didn't realize it had anything to do with us.
No, I.
So
was
you're
like,
like,
oh,
what
fuck.
the hell's
Especially if
going on,
Trav
right?
would've you guys. I had no idea.
All right. Well,
Next time I'll give you a text in a situation like that.
Okay. Well, I just hope that you
I
didn't.
figured you were playing fuck them and dodge them.
No.
Yeah.
Especially not fuck you guys.
All right. Well, we got kind of a kick out of it. So
Yeah, it was
we
funny.
kind of got a good story to tell of it on, especially as Travis told it, because it was like just this total surprise of, wait, what's going on? What was I supposed to do? Who's calling? Whatever. Because you got like the call from the switchboard. He was saying too, like they blew up your phone and stuff trying to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah.
18 times they called me, so I just blocked the
Nice.
number.
Nice.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that blocks
it-
numbers.
yeah,
if
it's-
I don't know, if you call me a couple times, like, dude, either text me or leave. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
somehow tell me who you are. But if you don't want to tell me who you are, fuck it, you're getting blocked.
Especially
Yeah.
15. And for some reason, that witching hour is like the greatest sleep you're in, right? When you're, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially-
No, man. Hey, bro, I'm with you, man. I am definitely not a morning person.
Right.
Yeah. So Laura,
Anything
you're
before 11's too early.
you're coming back and forth every week then to do
Yes.
the Contender
Where's
Series,
home?
Kansas City.
right?
Yeah.
Which is where Invicta's based.
Correct.
Yep. And that's how I first came to know you, because I saw you fight in Invicta. That's
Yes.
one thing a lot of people don't realize, because you become such a recognizable
Well, it was a
commentary
long and
presence.
storied career.
Well, you know what? You retired undefeated.
I did
That's what
retire
I would.
undefeated. Yes,
Hey, you
I
know
did.
something? Let me tell you something. I once played one hand of poker with the guy who came in third in the World Series of Poker, and I won the hand. So based on that logic,
Yeah.
that
No, it
tells
doesn't work
me
like
I
that.
would have come in second or better
Right.
Yes.
if I
Not
had
work like
and then I retired, immediately retired undefeated.
I'm with you, Richard.
Not
Yeah,
how life works.
and that's flawed
I like
logic.
to lump
Cowboy.
my amateur fights in there together, and then it's not quite as laughable.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, because you had
whatever.
you had like a handful of amateur
Oh, did you?
fights.
How many
I had
amateur-
8. I had 8 amateur fights and
Oh,
one.
8. Wow.
The whole one pro fight.
Yeah,
And I have 2 requests. Do you have any Budweiser here? It'd be a negative.
it's a way to
No,
work in.
I got a
sponsor.
Modelo.
I appreciate that.
Can't drink Modelo online, but
We'll cover it with plastic.
There you go.
Monster Energy drink.
Nah,
You
no,
can do that
that's
one.
Bush stuff, man. Sorry, that's just like colored water to me. So
And colored water.
Yeah.
And a spit cup would be awesome.
And a spit cut that we can
That
handle.
we can
I'm
accommodate.
sure.
Order
yeah,
up.
Travis is
Order
already
up. Order
Travis is already on the case.
hold on. Make sure the wife knows it's about to be a spit cup because she has those to-go coffee
You
cups.
want to use the
Oh,
good
yeah.
china.
No,
you don't want to use
no,
it for
no,
that.
We just want.
I
No.
accidentally drank someone's
water
spit
bottle
cup
would be-
once.
Oh god.
You ever had that happen?
No, I
You
haven't.
haven't?
I have not.
That's just a rookie mistake. I feel
Rookie
like
mistake.
okay. I feel like that's something that everyone's experiencing. No, everybody's looking.
No,
at me
you
like,
said one of those things where like, hasn't everybody done that? We're like,
everybody drank someone else's spit cup. Nope.
I'm from Texas. I was on the lookout for that from a very early age.
That's my problem. Is
Yeah.
I wasn't around it enough, and
I see.
was on a bus
Kansas?
Yeah.
ride with a guy who's a good friend of mine, and
Yeah.
I fell
There we
asleep and I
go.
woke
Look at
up
that.
thirsty.
I just
All
ran
right.
out to the car.
That's
Oh,
ice
Travis
cold-
had
Ooh.
Bud.
There
Travis
it goes.
had
It's Bud.
Budweiser in the
Budweiser.
car.
That
it
is
is.
Budweiser.
All right, there you go.
see this guy Travis, man, Jesus. You were just
Where'd you
talking.
find this guy?
Right?
He's
No,
great.
where we
From
found
him.
He's
through him.
great. Really?
First of all, thank
Yeah,
you.
I said, "Hey Trav, buddy of mine wants to meet. Can I introduce you via text?" He's like, "Yeah, fuck it, sure." And the rest is history.
Yeah.
No. He goes, hey, Travis, this is Frank. Frank, this is my weird ass fucking. What would you say? He's not a stalker. It's cool. I'm like, all right, I guess you got the stamp. He's not a stalker. You know what I mean?
Well, Travis said that. Here's the thing. Travis, I'll tell you the backstory. on Travis is a listener to our podcast.
Okay.
That's how I got to know him. And in fact, he was just like, he'd tweet little comments, things like that, nothing intrusive or anything. And then he kind of said, hey, if I'm interested in podcasting, if you ever need any help, stuff like that. And we did need help because back then it was just a 2-man operation. But he was friends with Cowboy, and he didn't play that card right
No,
away.
he
See,
don't. He
that's
doesn't.
the
He's
thing.
not that
That-
kind of guy. He's not that
yeah.
kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't do that. And so it kind of works its way in. And what he did was he was just looking for somebody that could vouch for him to let him know that because you do have to come over to Frank's house. So we got to make sure we know you or whatever. And so he had asked Cowboy, he said, hey, can you just tell these guys I'm not like a crazy stalker dude? And so Cowboy group texted Frank and I and said, hey, here's my crazy stalker dude friend. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I
But
love
you know
it.
what? I don't know how you are on what your track record is overall in recommending people for jobs, Cowboy.
Right.
But with this one, you batted a
Yeah,
thousand.
solid, man, solid.
So thank you. We appreciate you
So
for
Trav
that.
is like a amazing scuba diver.
Yeah.
That's
Really?
yeah. So not like Brian Callen scuba diving, like recreational. He's the guy they call when the cops are too scared to go deep and find the people. They call him up.
You find bodies?
Wait, we're short of Mike. We're short of Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Probably-
I'm asking.
No,
like
it's
he can
probably a
talk
good thing.
back, but
yeah. He's like super into all the diving and
That's
everything.
incredible.
And that's how you guys know each other originally,
because
right?
I love it.
Cowboy?
It's like a super passion of mine. And
Yeah.
so I met Trav because he's the guys that. So if I was going to be a fighter, I'd want to associate myself with people that fight every day, right? Not
Sure.
people
Right.
that, not the guy who's owned a gym for 20 years and he thinks he knows Taekwondo. And I want to get in there with the real UFC fighters, and so he goes 300-400 feet on a weekly basis.
so he's the Cowboy Cerrone of scuba diving.
He is absolutely.
Okay.
He is.
He's
He's kept me from dying a couple times.
He's
Yeah,
the-
because that shit's fucking dangerous, right? I mean, hold on.
It's the
someone hand
asshole.
him
It's the asshole puckering sport for sure.
yeah. Hand Travis a mic. There we go. Okay. Yeah.
You don't want to tell any of those stories, though, do you? Or-
No, it's all good. I die all the time.
One
so-
more reason the UFC's going to find something to put in your contract not to
Right.
do. They're like, all right.
Yeah.
Well, Dana did put a stop to that one time we were diving, right?
Yeah, one
Yeah.
time he did.
You dove too deep? What was the
Not too deep.
What
we
happened?
just we had to take a little break after diving because you can't like get your heart rate up through the roof going hitting pads like we did. And he was like, God damn it, you're gonna get hurt, because everyone has this like misconception of diving and thinks
Yeah.
it's just that you're just gonna die when you're done. If you go deep, you're gonna die. That's like what everyone thinks. And so Dana has this in his mind that you're fucking down there 200 feet. Now you're up here, and your heart rate's going because someone tells him in his ear what you know.
I
it's
see.
Not the,
Right, just enough
case.
information to
to
but
make-
not
yeah.
enough really to know what the fuck they're talking
Exactly.
about. That makes sense.
Yeah. Probably the thing to do would be to invite him out to go diving, and then he can experience it and see that it's not nearly the threat. That
Well, as long as
Yeah.
you do it intelligently, right?
And that's what I'm saying. These guys, that's what I'm saying. Travis and his group of divers, they're the best in the world, right? If I was
Yeah.
gonna send you to depth, that's who I'd put you with.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be anybody else. Whenever I go somewhere, I call him. I Trav, hey, I'm going out to LA, or I'm going to this island. Like, who do you know? Who do you know that can put me in the right direction with the
Right.
right gear
Yeah.
and the right guys, right? So.
Fuck, man, you don't even toot your own horn, dude.
No, I was just saying.
Holy shit, he doesn't even tell us
No.
about. He's like, yeah, I do this diving thing. Like
No,
that's
he is
to the
like
extent-
top 3% in the world diving.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like the best.
This is what I like about.
He's not even making eye contact right now. He's so
No, he's so uncomfortable
embarrassed. I
because
know
we're like,
he's so uncomfortable.
yeah, look at him.
He's this elite diver, and I got to hear about it from Cowboy. This is the first that I've really known about this.
He told you just a little scuba diving in Lake Mead. Now it's 350 feet, 400 feet weekly. Like the dangerous shit you can do.
So I am so envious
No
of your vagabond lifestyle, Cowboy, because when you came in, you sat down and you're like, well, I'm still here. I'm gonna stick around. I'm kind of on my way home. I stopped. I pulled over. I might hang out. Like, isn't that kind of the definition of success? Like, if you can just live your own schedule like that.
I do live my own schedule. I fucking love it. Like I don't have. Yesterday we just went to Venice Beach and hung out and drank some beers on the pier, and then now I'm here and don't know when I'm going home. I got to be in New Jersey next weekend. My buddy Jonathan Webb's fighting, so I know I got to be there Saturday. But
Nothing until then. Just whichever way the wind takes you.
That's it.
That is badass.
Yeah, I like that. And then you live in you drive your home. That's
Yeah.
nice. You got the mobile, because when we were trying to wake you up the other morning, we had actually enlisted Travis to try to help.
Right.
And he got a hold of one of your henchmen.
Yeah.
And that fellow was saying
you call
that
Mikey.
Yeah, that fellow was saying that everybody else was in the hotel, but you were in your RV.
Yeah, parked out next to the hotel.
Even though you're at a hotel.
Yeah, we were in the lot next to the hotel.
Yeah, you just were more comfortable.
But why?
in the
I got
RV.
my kitchen, my bed, my towel, my own shower.
Yeah.
I'm not in a hotel room that the guy with syphilis was just in there coughing all over the sheets and shit on, you know?
Yeah.
His RV's nicer than the hotel. It's all
The
marble.
RV's nicer than
it's-
the hotel.
I've
yeah.
upgraded a couple of times, you know?
Oh
It's
yeah,
all right.
yeah. I'd like to.
The fight money got to go somewhere.
Laura, Cowboy and I. This is something I tried. You know, Cowboy was saying earlier that it's the same questions every interview and all that kind of stuff. So I take that to heart, and I always try to bring something to the table with Cowboy every time we run into each other, because this is going to surprise you. It's going to surprise you because Laura, when she sat down, she was telling me about the stereotype that she had for me at a distance, like what she kind of assumed, a lot of things she assumed about me. Would it surprise you to find out that I am I'm a rabid fan of old school country music?
Would it surprise me?
Yeah.
No,
No,
actually,
not really.
that
Okay.
like that fits
Yeah.
in
Just
with.
listening to Merle Haggard on the way over here.
That
Yeah.
actually fits in with because, like what I was telling Travis on the way here
Mm-hmm.
is, and I was kind of embarrassed to admit this, is that while you and I had not interacted before, obviously I had seen you
Yes.
around events. I literally thought he was just like some rock star that was like a huge UFC fan and was just constantly like
Was just
following-
such a fan that I was hitting him up for press credentials. Yeah, just getting involved in the press conferences.
I wasn't paying
I
that
feel-
close attention.
That wouldn't be far off. Sometimes I feel like, what is that guy's uncle doing here asking me questions right now with a camera phone?
No, when I first met him too, when he first came up to talk to me, I was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like, when you see Richard, you get this. I mean, we all got the way, but then when you get to know him, you're like, so you've never like even smoked a joint? No, never even had a sip fucking of alcohol. No, I'm like, but your grandfather owned a liquor store. You grew up in there. You grew up in the comedy circuit doing
Yeah.
stand up, and then in a band when he was like 16, and now works at a brothel. It's like he's exposed to the most decrepit aspects of humanity.
Wants none of it.
work in a brothel?
He really
No,
works
he
at
really
a fucking
does.
brothel.
That
Yes.
wasn't just
No. And you know what I mean? Like, and then it's like,
like, well,
and does not, you know what I mean? Like, and has no issue. That's why I tell
Do we
him
have
he's
like
my,
Yeah.
Groupon tickets
he's
or
my
anything?
Jiminy Cricket, you know? Like,
Groupon.
You want that one?
do they have
I
RV?
think you want the
Do they
full
have RV
price.
hookups?
I think you want full
We'll
price.
talk about that later.
I tell you what, if you're so inclined, I can work out a deal. Just don't overdo it out there.
One of these times in town, we can go on the brothel run. That's actually one of the runs they do here in Vegas.
No kidding.
See if you
and
can.
we go from we start here like at Harley Red Rock, and then we'll ride to the different brothels in Pahrump, and then come back over the.
Trev, see if you can
I've never had a hired girl before in my life ever.
Well, they're not all created equal. So before you take that leap, check.
And I mean, I've gone to Jack Jacks. I've never found one of those. I've been. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I've tried laying down, face down, to get a massage, and I'm like.
You'd think that would
just touch it.
Like,
just touch it.
Super creeping, and they just go around.
My groin is so far.
What am I doing wrong here?
That was aggressive. That looked like you were trying to
That's what I do.
Looked like you were trying to
was fine with
bridge into a sweep or something. That was some technique there.
Flexible hips,
gonna see if you can find my my reenactment on YouTube from the Lamar Odom.
Oh yeah,
have you ever seen this? I thought I would live my whole life. This is a dubious achievement of mine. I actually had somebody play me in a reenactment. On one of these crime drama shows. Yeah, because of the Lamar Odom thing that happened. And the guy that was cast as me.
Did you have any input on who was cast as you?
No, I did not.
That seems unfair.
Decent job, though. It was okay.
Yeah, but the thing that I always wondered about was I always wanted to interview the guy that played me, though.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to know what went into his mythology.
You wanted him to be a method actor and actually meet you and become you and live you and put your skin on.
Who were the people that were rejected for the part and things like that? And
why?
I'm not seeing it right offhand. I'm trying to remember what channel it was on. Reels, Reelz. Try putting that in the search and see if it comes up. But anyway, yes, it's so Cowboy and I both love the old school country music, and I try to always turn them on to something that I'm listening to. So I got one for you today.
Okay, let's hear it.
Have you heard Jason Isbell?
Jason Isbell, no.
Okay, you remember the band Drive By Truckers?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
He was in Drive By Truckers, and he's got about 3 or 4 solo records out now. But this guy is, for my money, the greatest lyricist of our generation right now. When you leave, I'll send you a couple links or something like that.
Yeah, this is the guy you're trying to get on the show right now, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, this guy's he's a critic's darling right now. But
where's he from? Is he a Nashville guy or around here?
No, he's from Alabama.
Very nice.
But anyway, while Travis looking for that. All right, so anyway, you I was actually at the fight. I was in Anaheim. I was. Are
we here talking about fights? No, we're not talking about fights.
No, I'm just telling you I was there, and that I didn't run into you, but I was there, and so you basically are coming from here to. You're eventually going to work your way back to home.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Are you going to fly to Jersey or drive down?
I'll fly. That's a far. That'd be coast to coast. That'd be brutal by myself. But, if I was fighting out there, we'd definitely drive. I just like driving, man.
Yeah, because I remember one time when you fought, it was in Orlando.
Yep.
I was out there and you
drove down.
That's why I said, I was like, hey, where's Cowboy? He's like, I think he's in Texas somewhere. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He's fighting. No, he's driving his RV. I'm like,
and then we dive all over Orlando, all over Florida.
Oh, yeah. Do you always do that as far as, is this just kind of your MO, after a fight, just kind of, I'm not going to hurry home if I don't have to, I'll just kind of work my way back eventually?
Yeah, always.
Yeah. You're going to make a great old person because, that's what the old people in the RVs do.
Except for they're doing 60 and I'm flying by pinned at fucking 86. I mean, it only does 86. I'm a little upset about that, but that's what she does. 86.
Yeah, probably tough to sleep in the back of the RV when that's going on. But back in the old van days, I tried to sleep in. We eventually got a bus, and those are nice because they're. I don't know mechanics, but I just know they're balanced for that or whatever. Right. But the RVs like this.
No. So the more money you pay, the better ride you get. The chassis, so that's what you're paying for is the ride.
So you probably got one of those smooth.
It's okay.
Smooth
on a cloud.
RVs.
It's nice.
What is all right? Because this eventually I would like to be an RV owner too.
Sure.
What is the number one thing? How many? You've probably been through half a dozen or something, right?
6 of them.
What is the number one thing you would recommend to somebody getting their first RV? Like something to look out for, something you definitely want.
That's such a vague statement. It's like, what are you, a weekend warrior? Are you looking for like a bumper pole that you can just take up camping with the kids? Are you looking for like a fifth wheel where it's like a bigger 40-foot where you can bring your truck and drop it off? Are you looking for a diesel pusher where you can drive it there and have everything with you? I mean, it's
there's a lot. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to go with me to the dealership. I'm just thinking, like, is there just one thing?
There's some nice ones out there, though. The wife and I were talking about that because we had the boat for 2 years and like fucking maybe took it 6 times, you know. So it was like, fuck this, it's just paying too much for a slip. But one of the investments, like when I fight again, we want to get is a trailer, you know, RV, and there's some out there I started looking at now, like the Jayco, Seneca, and some shit. It's like $300,000, but I mean, like, it's a diesel. Heavy. The kids can be in the back driving.
Most people go from like a bumper pole to a fifth wheel to like a gasoline powered driving one, and then they go to the diesel pushers. Then you go to the Class A 44-footer, what I have. Big boys.
The diesel
we have a shitty
ultimate,
fifth wheel.
As far as like just goes up hills.
Yeah, RV too.
Yeah, but it's but what I like about we have a solar one because we park it in the middle of our ranch. And just live in it.
You don't live in L.A.
No, I live in Kansas. Well,
that's very liberal of you. Solar powered.
I know. Well,
out of convenience, not so much of economical conscience,
we park
right?
in the middle of a 2,000-acre ranch.
Yeah, because you don't have to look for hookups, right?
No, that part's awesome.
God forbid you throw a little diesel in the generator and let that bitch run. Power for
just
days.
Easier. Hey, I have no problem with fuel.
Yeah.
I just the solar power was nice.
Well, I appreciate you reducing your carbon footprint. You probably saw my Prius parked outside.
I did.
So is that but in terms of getting one, like, there's not something you absolutely have to watch out for. Like, don't fall for the something. You know what I mean? Like, no, not really like that.
I mean, the less money you pay, the cheaper it's going to be, right? Like construction wise, when you pull it on the road, shit's rattling off the things. I mean, you pay for what you get for it, for sure, especially with those things.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. Well, one of these days we should do some sort of RV trip.
You can rent them all the time. That's what we usually do. And me and the wife, if we'd go down to like San Diego, you know, it's kind of fun to go ahead and rent one of the RVs here, and you know, it's like about $1,000 for the week as far as when you're all said and done. But it's cool because if you get the ones, and terminology I'm screwed up on, but basically like where you drive it and it can be in the back with you, because if you have like a trailer or a fifth wheeler, you can't have them back there. You know, I mean, I guess you could, but it's against the law and it's just not convenient. Whereas the ones I think
plus those fifth wheels, all the slides are in on them.
Yeah, so it doesn't work anyways.
Yeah, they wouldn't be like free ranging in there. They'd be maybe sitting in a little corner.
We'll rent the RV where it's little. They have like to where like I'm driving and the kids are in the back. I mean, they have seatbelts in the seat, you know. But that way, if someone has to go to the bathroom, they just get up and walk. And as long as you're not driving like a maniac, I've even had other people drive and then I can go lay down in the back bed and like you can walk through. Like it's ultra convenient for travel and it's actually fun because then everybody can interact with each other. The kids are playing card games on the kitchen table, and
all right, we got to do that for
the wife makes a sandwich. You know what I mean? Like it's all right there.
Or
like,
you can drive like Cowboy with your knee, text with one hand, and watch Kong on the way here. That's what I was doing.
Now that just sounds.
I got the kids
unsafe.
in the car, try to be slightly more. If it was just me, I don't give a shit. But, you know, I mean, you got kids, you start to be a little bit more. No classic plans while I'm driving.
That just sounds unsafe. All right, we'll do that for our next show field trip. We just took one this past week to Disneyland. We went.
Saw that.
Yeah. Oh, you saw it?
Well, I saw the pictures on Instagram.
Oh yeah. We had a lot of fun out there. A lot of fun. All right. So anyway, hey, you know what?
Where were we going anyways?
Where were we going with the conversation?
Yeah, the direction that we were.
We threw the script out the window.
No, fucking
yeah, Cowboy shows up.
I'm sorry
script out the window.
Hey,
no, that's right. You're the Bob Hope of the podcast. So Laura's in town though to do Contender Series. And are you still doing now? Is that going to keep you doing Invicta all the time as well? How's all that working?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of have to give priority to the Contender Series, and that's also slowed down my FS1 work. But I think we've got
bigger check wins.
Yeah, exactly. 5 weeks left, and so then I'll kind of go back to my more usual schedule of doing the FS1 cards and Invicta. Invicta is only every other month, so it's not a super hectic schedule, obviously.
Are you going to do the California card? There's one coming up.
I am. That's going to be a tricky one, though, because it's on such a weird day of the week. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
still figuring out how to get from Las Vegas to there.
Now, are you?
time in
I know
between.
you do the in-ring interviews, but
Yeah.
do you also do the commentary on the outside?
So I have done commentary for Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. No.
In general?
I've done commentary for local level pro shows, and I'm terrible because what I do is I just describe everything I see. Like I won't shut up, and I'm way too literal about like it's like the fight as a book, and I'm just reading it. I would need a lot of work before they threw me on air.
Well, I mean, as long as you're not just pointing out the obvious, but you're pointing out what's going on
know,
too.
I
like
was.
explaining,
I
like,
was.
oh, he's throwing the low kick. Look,
Yes.
he's looking to set up the high kick. Oh, there comes the high kick.
I
The other guy.
I just wouldn't stop talking. I
It
need.
takes years of you learning that to see that coming.
Yeah.
Were you in
Yeah.
were you in the color role or the play-by-play?
Well,
role?
that's the other tricky thing. So this is like not even a regional promotion.
Small
This
show.
is a
Okay.
local
Right,
promotion.
right.
And so there's really no color, or it's just two people sitting there talking about the fights.
Oh, okay.
And we also have no information about the fighters that we're
Yeah.
talking about. So there's not a lot of like color
Yeah.
story to bring to the table other than what is happening right in front of you. So
Okay.
I cut myself a little bit of a break, but I enjoy the reporter role a lot, and I really, really, really love the post-fight, whether it's for Invicta, where it's literally inside the cage, or what I do now for the Tuesday Night Contender Series is pretty close to that because they just walk out and walk right over me. I love that role so much because it's so raw in the moment. They don't have time to prepare a really well thought out, statement. It's just a very real moment, especially, the Invicta fighters and these guys on the Tuesday Night Contender Series are not media savvy yet.
Yeah.
They're earlier in their career. So it's just a really honest moment, and I love it. A lot of weird shit happens. Tanya Avenger kisses you.
I saw
people
that.
pick you up and swing you around, and
Yeah. Yeah, you know about that, right? The infamous Tanya Avenger
saw
kiss. Yeah, I
was trying to figure out, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
Laura, so I haven't
Oh,
understand.
that's her.
So I typed in your name, and it's like the second picture is
Yeah.
Tanya, planning one on you, and I'm
Yeah.
like, let me investigate that.
Yeah, let me sell that one.
It's for work purposes.
yeah.
From certain angles, which have been sent to me on numerous occasions, it really looks like I'm into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
From all angles that I've seen, it looks like Tanya's into it.
Yes.
So there you go.
Like,
Yeah.
for a fact.
I just wish it had
Perfect.
been someone besides Tanya doing it.
I like. I
She was
like-
definitely the weak link in that chain.
I love Tanya because I was so happy to see her get
Yes.
get on the UFC card finally. Because I love Tanya because I've interviewed her before and she'll refer to her opponent as old girl.
Yeah.
She'll be
Old
like,
girl.
I'll wrestle fuck old girl if I have to. I'll give a fuck. Yeah.
Can I just tell you, Tanya Avenger has more game than any guy
Yeah.
I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh, okay, I get you. In
Like
Really?
in the
oh,
mat.
yeah.
Where
Like
is this
she
going?
should teach.
Right.
She should teach a class.
Really?
And I'm
Does
not
she have you
joking.
questioning your what side of the field you batted on? I mean,
Depending on how many drinks I've had, for sure.
Really? So
Yes.
Persuasive.
Yeah, she's very persuasive.
I like it.
And she's persistent.
Yeah.
And she just has this.
see, and that's hard for a guy to be persistent because
That's the thing. It
we
comes up. I
definitely-
had this
we
discussion.
get the whole
Yeah.
It's like a guy. If we're persistent, it's like persistence or rapey. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, there's a fine line between persistence and rapey, but
You know what?
it's one
It's
that needs
okay.
to be danced.
It's good to be fluid with your sexuality. I actually appreciated Cowboy. I was listening to your appearance on Fighter and the Kid. Cowboy co-hosted with Brendan Shaw
Oh, okay, nice.
a couple of weeks ago. And, I appreciated your honesty because there was some sort of homoerotic conversation going on. And Cowboy just like dropped the mic by saying, I'd fuck a guy live on the air for $1 million. I'm like, me too.
Everyone has
But-
a price.
Yeah, the thing is, though, as soon as you said that, I thought, man, this day and age, we might be able to crowdfund that. Like,
Yeah,
my
so you might
gosh.
need to up that number a little bit.
yeah,
'cause
yeah.
He seems fine with it still.
Yeah, fuck.
Go
I'm
fund
I
me.
would do such
You
a good
gotta
job.
pay
he'd give-
taxes on it.
Yeah,
That's the best line. What was
I
it?
said if I do such a good job, he'd give me another $1 million to do it again.
I love it.
That's awesome. Kelly, what's one question that we were just talking about, like all the obvious questions you could add, the autopilot and all that. What's a good question to ask you that nobody's ever asked you? What's the part of your life that you don't get to talk about the most that you have the most to talk about?
Oh man, I don't know.
I mean, we know, fortunately through Travis, we find out about the diving. Everybody knows you like the adventure stuff and all that. But, I don't know. What's something that you just never get to talk about that much?
Fuck, I don't know.
We talk about music. We talk about yeah.
How about your love life?
Love life. Sure.
Why don't you have someone co-piloting that RV?
She's at home working.
Oh.
Yeah. She's going to school to be a doctor, so she's got a bunch
Ooh, you got yourself a smart one.
She got 4 degrees. Yeah, she's wicked smart.
Dang.
So what happens?
I've seen her, and she rides a bike.
Yeah, she rides
and
a bike.
I know. Okay, she is.
She dives. She's my dive buddy. Yeah, she's been 250 feet.
Yeah, she follows you pretty much everywhere you go, right?
Yeah.
Found somebody that's up for the things you're up for.
I got one
right?
for you. What about firearms in the RV and stuff? When you travel to different places, do you got to follow different rules, or you say?
So I don't know. I just do it.
Just go.
I probably have four that I know of in the RV right now.
Well, you know that pretty much everywhere but DC, you're good with a shotgun.
Yeah.
But then after that, like handguns and different pistol grips, especially California, man.
Yeah, I have my concealed carry, and I have a Florida concealed carry license, so I think I'm pretty. I don't know.
Good in Florida is a good one to have. I know Utah and Vegas or Nevada, you pretty much have those 3, and you can carry in pretty much almost all the states that allow it.
I just do it.
Well, they say it's better to be
prepared and to have and not used and
tried by 12 than carried by 6.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still getting used to all this with Frank.
How are you on firearms being a Kansas girl? How's it?
I have no problem. There are guns all over my house. That part kind of drives me nuts because my son's finally getting to the age where he would have the dexterity to do something silly, but my husband keeps pretty good. I don't know. We live on a ranch, so you know.
Well, you can take it out and go far. That's the thing. If I can give any point of advice, not that you want to do it, but like my kids, I have firearms all over the house too, and I've never had an issue with it. But I grew up with around the house, never had an issue with it. But it was because it wasn't a taboo. Like if I wanted to look at a gun, hey Dad, can I see that? My dad would, whatever. I mean, obviously if he was in the middle of cooking dinner, you know, but I mean, he'd be like, oh yeah, son, you know, boom, pull it out, unload it, let me play with it, you know.
Teach him how to, let me show you how we do this. I don't just turn it and hand it to you,
and then he took me, as soon as I was old enough to, you know, be able to put in earplugs and keep them in, you know, then he took me to the range. We went out to the desert and shot. So that way it got it out of my system to where if I saw a gun, it wasn't like, oh shit, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, it's a gun, yeah. Even if one of my friends was over, like, oh, your dad has a gun, yeah. If we ask him, he'll break it down and show it to us, you know. And that open dialogue kept us safe.
Totally.
I mean, I know nothing's 100%, but I think when you hide, because that's the thing. I have friends that like, you know, we'll just hide all the guns in the house. I'm like, yeah, but the problem with that is that your kid comes to my house.
Yeah.
If your kid, you know what I mean? Like my kid goes to another kid's house, maybe I lock up every gun in every safe. But then what happens when he goes to his friend's house? Like I can't secure other people's guns.
Yeah. What you locking your gun up in your safe do for you and the safety of your wife and your kids?
No,
and
it
your
does
gun?
nothing.
And that's what Nathan's
I mean, the guns
is.
that I have that I'm not going to use, like I have a 50 caliber rifle.
Yeah.
It's in the safe because I'm probably not going to shoot a trespasser with the 50 caliber. But throughout the rest of if you don't have a weapon that's readily available, why have it? You know what I mean? That's why I always tell people, like, I got a gun. I'm like, where do you have it? Like, well, it's here under the seat of my car. I'm all, how long would it fucking take you to get to it? You know what I mean? Like, if you can't get to a gun within about 2 or 3 seconds, might as well not even have it.
I normally carry one on me, especially when I'm riding my bikes. I always have one.
Yeah.
The only thing I won't do when I'm riding my bike is leave one in the chamber. Just, it's like, weirds me out.
You know what? But I carry my Glock a lot.
Yeah.
That's probably my number one handgun that I like, and I won't carry one in the chamber because I'm worried about accidental. So I just practice something. But I practice drawing and chambering off the draw. So when I go to the range, I go from the concealed position.
Correct.
I sit there. I carry appendix style, and I'll just kind of okay, go. I have the little beeper. I pull my shirt, and then as I racket the chamber, then I go on sight, and I just practice that way. So that way I don't have an accidental shoot myself in the dick moment. You know?
Exactly. So I don't carry one.
Then what's the point? You know.
Everywhere else, I have one fully loaded in the chamber, ready to go. And that's what I tell my girl. Like the best thing you can tell them, like this walkway of your door. You guys probably can't see in the video, but anyone who's listening, like, just back yourself against the wall, frame the body of whoever's coming in through a windowsill or through a door, and shoot. It makes the target a lot smaller, right? So shooting someone in an open room.
Did you teach her how to shoot, or did she know already?
I taught her how to shoot. Yeah. So I said, if someone ever comes that you're worried, just back against the wall, and when you see the body come through the door, you fucking unload every bullet in the gun.
I actually call that the funnel of death. When you talk about entries, when a person first walks through a door, that's why, like, if military or police personnel, or if you're trying to go into you can't stand there. So you see guys, like in the movies, kick the door open and they stand there. They actually, in the term and technical book, it's called the funnel of death, because you're basically silhouetted, and that's the worst place.
You should rename that door the funnel of death.
Yeah. That was my old
I'd like to get
fraternity
people to come
nickname.
in here. what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
might be hard to invite guests. Be like, the intro past the funnel. Of
Yeah, yeah.
That's how
Well,
I felt.
Frank actually, I had never even held a gun until Frank and I started dating. And he took me out, and I fired the gun, and then we've been a couple of times. Now, the last time we went out into the desert somewhere,
Shot a
and there were all these folks showing up, like in their trucks.
Did you ever meet Ken Han, one of the trainers I used in the past?
I don't think so.
He's a big-time tactical gun guy. So, I mean, he's out there, side hole. Him and his wife actually does the instruction for the Japanese military. So they fly her there like once every 6 months, and she puts them through the we all kind of learn from the same guy who, if you ever want to get introduced to him, Tom. The story about Tom is the first time I went shooting, I thought, because I have good eyesight.
Right.
My heartbeat stays pretty steady. I'm decent. If we go out shooting, I've always been one of the better ones amongst the like, hit that from over there. Yeah, no problem. Bing. So I thought, oh, fuck, I know how to use a gun. So this is probably about 12, 15 years ago. I went shooting with him, and this guy makes a living with his firearm. You hire him if you're going into, you and your family are going somewhere that's a little scary. He's the guy that comes along with you.
There's a shot of it.
And so I remember we went shooting, and he goes, okay, we have to be able to draw from a from a holster, point in, shoot, and everything's to shoot to the face.
Richard, that's very Republican of you holding that AR.
Yeah. You go.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, we liberals come in all shapes and sizes.
Liberals with guns.
That's actually part of how I ease my way into the conversation. See, so I can get you. Yeah, I start explaining to you the folly of trickle-down economics at the gun range.
You'd be
where you
surprised
least
how many
expect it.
liberals and Democrats sneakily go to those gun ranges and they rent
right.
guns in the shadows.
See, that's what I hate about
And they
the
love it.
And they
But-
love
They love it.
That aggravates me that guns have to be a conservative aspect. It's like, like when a lot of people got on Obama, I remember I sit there, oh, Obama's going to take your guns. I'm like, do you not pay attention to the news? Like, Obama actually has done more for us as far as like now he's signed into
made it legal to carry a gun into a national
park. So at Red Rock, technically, if I was out on a hike, if I got caught with my gun on me, I was in trouble. Well, Obama made it legal now, so I don't have to worry about having my firearm with me where you shouldn't.
Yeah, that was the reality of it.
This happened to us. My last fight here in Vegas against whoever I fought. We went to Sunday Fun Day. Gotten like an argument out on the dock with some crazy guy and his pit bull dogs. My dogs went there, started sniffing his dogs. His dogs started attacking mine. Anyways, the guy like flips out, calls 911, said we have guns on the boat. And the cops, the Rangers, come in hot.
Yeah, you say gun, people freak out, right?
Freak out. And like there wasn't even like any altercation. It wasn't even that crazy of a situation. Yeah. Next thing you know, the Rangers are pulling their guns at us, and they're like, do you have weapons on the boat? And I was like,
jeez.
Fuck, yeah, of course I do. Yeah, I do, but I didn't pull it. So me trying to explain myself that we didn't pull the gun, I mean, it was, but that was, you're talking about the state park. We were in Lake Mead with a firearm loaded, and everything, it was a wild ride.
Oh, hey guys. So we so we went now this a little video where we went shooting with some listeners.
I seen this.
Oh, you've already seen that.
No, I seen the Well, yeah, I've already seen this.
That's the first time I ever shot a gun right there was in that clip. But when we went out to the desert, the scary thing, Laura, was I look around, there's all these other people showing up.
I didn't recognize you in all black. It was weird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but look, you didn't freak out. Gun didn't fall. Didn't hit him in the face.
Yeah.
And he hit the paper target.
Hit the target, right?
Nice work.
Yeah, thank you. But when we went out there to that, out in the desert, though, these people are showing up that aren't with us, right? They're going off doing their own thing. And at one point, it occurred to me, I said to Frank, I said, now, have all these people made an agreement ahead of time to shoot in the same direction?
No.
And he said, no. And I thought, oh, my God.
That's why I told him, like, 'cause when we were out there shooting, I always make sure one firearm on me is never, I don't shoot it. You know what I mean? Like, so as we're shooting weapons, I always have one weapon system on me ready to go for that reason. So in case somebody, stray bullet, something, I don't know. People have guns. It's better to make sure you don't run dry. You know, you'd be out there shooting, and the argument starts, and you're like, "Oh fuck, I'm 20 feet from the car, and I have an unloaded weapon." You might as well have a rock in your fucking hands. You know.
I'm with you.
I'm
with you.
Well, it's it's nothing I'm up. I just think that it's something that everybody ought to have to demonstrate a level of responsibility to have is the thing. So I'm all for responsible people having guns, but I don't mind there being a burden of proof for that. You know?
The difficulty is in that, and I agree with you. Idiots shouldn't have guns, just like idiots shouldn't. Like, hey man, I think once you hit a certain age, I think you should have to take the driving test again. You know, I hate when I see some person drifting fucking past lines.
That's me.
I pull up and
Driving
some
an RV.
90-year-old fucking, you know, lady, fucking glasses this thick. I'm like, oh God, she's driving, you know?
Yeah.
So I agree. I mean, but the problem is that anytime you start doing regulation, you don't know if it's always going to be used to get rid of the idiot from having guns. What if it's to take guns away from the law-abiding normal citizen that should have guns?
Well,
you know, like
that is true.
Then it's like, well, now you have to trust that they're going to make the right decisions, and you know, people, fuck, man, putting your trust in people to whether they discern who should have a gun, who shouldn't.
So I wanted to open a marijuana dispensary.
Oh, you looked into that?
I looked into it.
Okay.
First thing you have to do is give up your right to bear arms. So I was like,
Really?
Yep, that's not going to fucking happen.
See, I do know that getting a medical license, because I thought about getting a medical marijuana, you know,
Sure.
pain management and stuff. Like, oh, that's cool. But you can't have a CCW and be medical marijuana. So I'm like, wait a minute. You can get fucking pain pills, Xanax, fucking be on every antidepressant fucking known to man. But
Or hammered to bejesus.
right.
Says
But if you get a
bejesus.
fucking medical marijuana, if you get on your, you know, medical marijuana, what the fuck?
The license, the medical license?
No, but what's the thing? A script.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
a
basically, you get a
prescription.
script,
Yeah,
prescription
yeah.
for that. You can't carry a gun now. I'm
That's crazy.
Crazy.
like, what the fuck is that bullshit? It's just a holdover from people's.
Is that
That's
just
gone now because it's recreational legal now.
well,
Yeah,
no, it's gone as far as I can go buy recognition, but is it gone that I can buy? I wonder if that's still a holdover as far as if I go get it prescribed to me.
Yeah, see, because I was going to open. See, I was going to open a dispensary. In opening a dispensary, you have to first have a license.
Yeah.
So that was the same problem we ran into.
Oh, right. Okay. He's talking about being a.
You just need to come
so-
talk to Snoop tomorrow,
But
because
that's
I guarantee he
bullshit
can
because-
walk you through this.
Yeah, because I'm sure he's all legal.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's all the I's are dotted and the T's
I just
are
knows
crossed.
he
with
owns
Snoop
a lot
Dogg.
of
That's why when people
Yeah.
look at like the big picture of laws, like right now, you know, because it's federally still illegal to have medical, you know, marijuana on any level, right? I know that a lot of the places are getting robbed because they have to do so much cash transactions. So it's like, okay, so you make this law that they can't now put the money in a bank account, so they can't run it through as far as run credit cards and whatnot. So now you know that they're cash heavy buildings. What do you think is going to happen? Now
Why
guys
don't
are
they
getting.
just do it like they do strip clubs? Like you go buy weed and all of a sudden you ate a burger at Bernie's Burger Barn. Isn't that what you go? Right? You go. We've never taken money out of the strip club, obviously, because you're at Frank and T's Steakhouse. That's usually what comes up on your.
How does this work? Wait a second. So you go. What if you're at the strip club and where does the burger come in? If
Well,
you
no,
do what?
that's like they name.
Well,
their,
that way you don't go home and you don't have.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You don't have
I understand.
Spearmint
I
Rhino
understand.
on
Yeah, you don't have the
fucking-
brothel. Come
We
up.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, what comes up? What comes
Well,
up?
if I tell you, see, but let me just.
I'd have to shoot you.
We'll wait
Yeah.
till off air and
But
find
let
out.
me just tell you,
It doesn't
that-
come up the Bunny Ranch.
No, it's exactly what Cowboy's thinking, which is it's something that doesn't sound anything
Oh,
like
I want
a
to
brothel.
guess. This would be a fun guessing
Yeah, I
game.
mean,
Yeah.
that's
It's a bunch of
It's-
wives out there looking at credit
Yeah.
card receipts.
No, it's actually one of the things that the girls tell them when they're, negotiating with them, and the guy's like, well, I only have this much in cash. Like, oh, it's not a problem. We have the ATM. We can run credit cards, But the thing is, we can't have an American Express card because that has a big Mormon interest, and they don't want to take our dirty money. So we cannot take the Amex at the brothel.
Amex is run by Mormons?
Yeah. However,
no idea.
New to me.
we did come up with a creative workaround for that when Lamar Odom was there because he wanted to use his black card.
Yeah.
So we ran it. Well, I probably said too much already. We had a way of doing it. To say we had a way of doing it.
They're going to go back and go, what the
Yeah.
f-?
Well, it's all public information because that was all part of the news story that came out. But he ran his black card for $75,000. And his intent was to say 2 days, but about a day into it, he overheated.
Oh, my.
So
That's a lot of pussy.
that was the scariest. That was the scary. I have never.
should
That's
be
the only
laughing
time in
about
my life I have ever dealt with a situation where I was looking at somebody going, "This person is either dead or maybe dying like right in front of me."
I
Have you
texted
been
him
in
the
that?
next day.
Yeah.
The next day I texted him and said, hey, man, is this too soon? Can we start changing it for instead of party like a rock star? Can we party like Lamar? He goes, can we wait till he wakes up from the coma? You know? Come on, man, I want to tweet this. I'll say, hey, let's say this. And he's all, hey, let's not.
Yeah, they got to be the voice of reason. I would have been his voice of reason if he'd asked me. He was off on his own. I mean, I didn't get to him until
but
he was.
Usually, but that's it's hard to have cool stories when you get older if you always have the voice of reason.
What does $75,000 buy you?
Maybe one.
Can we talk about that?
Golden goose.
Golden something.
Well, so what he had was he had two girls that were just gonna be with him like 24 hours for 2 days.
Geisha mode, like whatever you want.
Yeah, basically. But the thing is, he was so, I think, unhappy and depressed, and who knows what was going on in his life, that I'm not even really sure he took much advantage of any of that. You know, it's just kind of that search for happiness that you never really found. I mean, when you're at the point that you're trying to buy $75,000 worth of love, things are not going well.
He's not looking
you
for
know
love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I call it.
Yeah.
Love.
So basically, really expensive Netflix and chill.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know, what I
He
remember.
did some fucking.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But what I remember about it was the house. We have there's like a private 3-bedroom house there. You know, if you're spending that kind of money, we'll put you back there, so that even like people who are in the house don't know that person's there, because they'll bring you around the back and separate entrance and all that. And there was all kinds of, like, he had ordered like a bunch of takeout food. There was candy everywhere, stuff like that. But what had happened to him was when I found him, he had taken these herbal Viagra pills, you know, that you can get like at a truck stop or whatever. But he'd taken like 14 of them in 24 hours.
A guy like that, why isn't he just getting the real fucking shit? Like, I always want to ask him, like, why don't you just...
I don't know. Well, maybe
I do know that if I ever in the future was ever single and I went to the brothel, and I spent that kind of money, I would make sure though that I took whatever, because I would want to make it to where the women would walk out there like, I want the other girls to be like, you made how much? You're like, oh, it was barely worth it. Jesus Christ, I'm not going to sit down for a week. You know what I mean? Like, I would want to go down legendary status. Like, I'm like, fuck this.
It would be like a competition.
He fucked a hole in me for sure.
Yes. Come on. I mean, look, as a fighter, like, if you're going to do something, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't go to the gym just to hit pads. I'm like, I want to learn how to be I'm going to be the best at this. So, like, I want to make it to where, like, and because they're working girls, you're not girls you're going to date, like, I would want them to be, like, uncomfortable with the situation finished.
Yeah, we're going to the next level.
Right. I mean, like, let
me tell you that it would be way cheaper just to hand them a script of what you want them to say, and believe me, they'll say it.
See, now I got to earn it.
Okay. Yeah, you don't want to cheat your way.
No.
You don't want to buy that medal at a swap meet.
No, I got to compete for it.
You want to go in and buy it and have the 3 girls laying on the bed and stand like, that was me.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah, I have the picture afterwards of them just like, you know, running makeup, crying, just like, I feel like.
couple days off work, you know.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, just ice packs coming in, you know what I mean? Like, just.
That happens. That's
happened. That's what happens when a couple alpha male runs into the brothel.
Right. So
that's happened. Hey,
so I'm glad we're on the same wavelength. So if I ever hit that world, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you know.
All right, I want to know.
We need RV hookups
outside. Cowboy, what is going on with your infrequent podcast? When is the podcast going to come back?
I'm just so bad at it.
Because I'm a subscriber. Okay. I enjoy the PartyCast.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed listening to him, and but Laura, I don't know. He has a fantastic podcast. It's like a pop-up podcast. It's like
it's very
like
much like a pop-up podcast. Because I think I listened to one, and then I was waiting for another.
No, come on.
It's like the Christmas special.
It's got the Christmas special,
Yeah. So who's doing that for? I mean, do you have a helper?
No, that's me.
Is that what the problem is?
That's like roping the wind. There you go.
Okay. All right. Well, is that something? Did you enjoy doing?
I did. Yeah, it's fun. It's definitely a good time, man. It's just hard to sit down and to knock them out, you know. Because you need to get like a quiet. You can't just do it in the bus while we're driving, you know, with the radio going. I mean, there's a lot.
It's an enormous amount of work if you want to do it right, and I think people don't necessarily give podcasting the respect that it deserves. But if done correctly, there's a lot of preparation and thought and equipment and whatnot that goes into it.
There certainly is.
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah, right.
Frank's like, I just show up.
That's why I even said it was like a 2-man crew. I'm like, oh, you actually said I was involved in this.
But you know what? Frank will carry gear. He's like the good roadie. He'll carry the big bags and everything. He's got no problem with that. Now, what was your setup like, though, up there at the BMF ranch? I mean,
it looks kind of like what you guys got going on right there.
Okay, so you got some gear set up and everything.
Well, I just went down to the place and I said, I need the shit to do this. And the guy was like, I can set you up. I said, all right.
Okay. So you got all that. Now, because we haven't, you know what we could do maybe sometime? We ought to do like a swap cast with that or something. If you ever want to do it.
Frank and I talked about that when I was, and then I dropped the ball like usual.
That's okay. That'll be fun. You know, we'll just whenever you're gonna. I mean, I know you don't like to plan these things, but you know, whenever you're gonna be around me, we take the show on the road and we team up and do one of those together. That'd be a lot of fun. We've done some fun swap casts in the past. Show up at people's places and do them. We got the coolest story last year out of this because Frank is followed on Twitter by Paul Stanley of Kiss, who was my childhood hero.
Right.
I mean, this is the guy I wanted to become when I was a kid. I had the Kiss lunchbox, everything, right? So I noticed, I'm looking at Twitter, oh, shit. Paul Stanley follows you on Twitter. DM him, you know. So Frank, DMs. Anyway, they get a conversation going, and I was just hoping
Cool motherfucker.
Yeah, I was just hoping he'd phone into the show or something. You know, we get him on as a guest. He invites us to his house in L.A., and we went last summer, and we did a whole episode just like this, sitting up in his living room. It was like the most awesome thing ever.
That's amazing.
Podcasting builds bridges. It brings people together. You never know. See, that's one thing too. All right, here's a question, Cowboy.
Right.
If you could, if I'm producing your podcast, dream guest list, who's somebody you'd like to talk to?
I don't know.
There's nobody out there. Music, athlete, anybody you've just thought, historical figure, anybody you've ever thought, I always wanted to have a conversation with that person.
Well, I would say Brett Michaels from Poison because he's my man.
Okay.
But then I met him and we hung out and had an epic night together. So
he's a good guy, right?
Yeah,
he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Well, he'd be a great one. He'd probably do that.
Sure. But
he's here local too, isn't he?
No, I think he lives in Arizona. Do you know?
I don't know where he lives.
Yeah.
I met him in South Dakota.
Okay.
On a show.
Yeah. Well, you know who we just had on was Ricky Rocket, the drummer from Poison. Did you know Ricky Rocket is a black belt in jiu-jitsu?
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. We just, it was a couple of months ago we had him on. That was another guy we met through Twitter.
Yep.
But you could do that. I mean,
sure.
I'd be interested in hearing that. All right. Well, okay. I'm just trying to plant a seed because I enjoy listening to that podcast. I want to hear some more of them. All right. Hey, you know what? We got to, before we wrap things up here, Frank, I got to give a shout out to Joe Cockrell, one of our most loyal listeners. Kind of appropriate the Cowboys on the show because I think he's met the subject of this package that Joe sent us. You want to open that up?
Sure.
And he was telling me he was sending this, and I opened it. I don't know quite what to make of it. Tell everybody, just kind of describe it on there if they can't see it on camera.
So I have a black envelope,
a dossier
of Donald Trump, President of the United States.
Make America great again.
Right.
So it's an autograph. It looks like it's coming there from the Donald.
Yeah. It's made out to both of us.
Yes, Richard and Frank. Frank, definitely the best UFC heavyweight of all time. Richard, well, got it. Love the hair. Best wishes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Donald obviously got wind of my opposition, but anyway, that's nice of him. I'm not sure where this came from or what the origin of it is, but anyway, it arrived in the mail for us.
That's very cool.
So there we go. Now you met Donald Trump.
I did.
Cowboy. You and Tim Kennedy, right?
Yeah, we were at the rally in New Mexico.
How did that whole thing come together? Did you just show up like you did
here?
We
were invited.
Okay.
Yeah, we were invited. We were invited.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a Trump supporter, man. I'm a Republican through and through.
Yeah. Have you been interested in politics before?
I have. I do. I follow what's going on, and yeah, not interested as far as me ever like getting out and speaking publicly about it, but
Yeah.
I definitely follow what's going on.
Well, see, that's a side of Cowboy a lot of people might not know about. The politically plugged in one, the one that follows current events and things
Sure.
like that. What's on your mind? What's got you these days thinking this is a concern?
Well, it's crazy to me that who's running for Senate now? Kid Rock, right?
Well, no, he's already said he's not doing that anymore.
Oh, he's not?
He did
No.
float the idea. I just want to know what his platform was, But the thing is, I used to think that no one would ever have the nerve to run for office without having a platform, without being able to tell you what they wanted to do.
And then Trump did it.
Yeah, it turns out they do it now. Turns out that's not even a thing anymore. So you were interested in the Kid Rock Senate race?
I mean, I rose an eyebrow like, well, I wonder what is he?
Right.
He was talking about he's just tired of all the bullshit and he wants to get in there and be heard. I'm like, well, all right. He's
Right.
a Republican too.
Yeah. Does it frustrate you when you think about just the average voter, right? Just the average person, because this is something I think about a lot. You have a lot of people who are wanting to shake things up.
Sure.
They're wanting to change things. You know, it's time to shake it up, and then you shake it up, and then all that time they spent saying, you know, let's get rid of Obamacare, whatever it was they're screaming about. Now they don't want it to go away.
Well,
you realize these are the same people.
They just jump on the bandwagon and they talk about it. It's like when I was in high school, I bet 30% of our high school voted. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to sit and talk shit.
Yeah.
But they don't actually want to go down to the fucking post office and register to vote and actually be heard. Like,
that's right.
Our age is dying.
Yep.
We don't, you know, our probably the 18 to 30-year-olds, maybe a very small percentage of them are actually going on election day and putting in their votes. Mm-hmm. I mean, now the marijuana ticket's on there, so maybe we'll get a little more fired up, but who knows? I mean, shit, right? If you can't talk shit and then do nothing about it. So those people that just want to say nothing, so fucking go register.
Yeah.
Make your vote count.
That I 100% agree with that. And the fact that young people don't and old people do, that's what a politician fears is old people. Yeah. And that's why,
you know, change. The politician trying to express change.
Well, they know the old guy's going to show up and vote. And the problem is that the young people will bellyache and bitch and won't actually do anything. So it's like, well, if you're part of a demographic that doesn't actually show up at the booth, no one gives a shit about what you say because they're only going to pander towards those numbers. It's like, okay, well, you know, and you even hear it. It's all a strategy. Like, well, the Hispanic vote. I need this vote because they vote in this direction.
But that's, I mean, that what you're describing, in my opinion, is the inherent problem. You know, political office was not designed to be a lifelong career. It was designed to be a service to your country that you did out of love for your country, not because you wanted to make a name for yourself and become famous, essentially. So you have these incentives. The problem with all this stuff, the problem with, I'm going to talk forever, but the problem with healthcare, the problem with politics, the incentives are misaligned. People are incentivized by the wrong thing, and as long as they're incentivized by votes and by staying in office, you're not going to get people representing their constituents in the way that they should be.
And the quick fix to that, I think, is to put term limitations.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like 2 terms, 3. I mean, we put a limitation on how many years terms you can serve as a president. But in Senate, where you have equal, if not more, power at times, you can go ahead and be a career politician. So you can make votes and shake hands and make agreements with people. You know, and the lobbyists, the fact we have a lobbyist, of arm of our government, I agree. Like, if you just people go on there, like, then there's no incentive to really make those connections. I feel. I mean, no matter what, look, everybody as humans, we're going to find a way to screw the system. But that's why I think that one of the ways is to take away the career politician.
I had a really good friend who ran for Senate last year in Missouri. Not Missouri Senate. He ran for Senate from Missouri, and he's cool because I'm like you. I tend to lean a little bit more to the right. He's a hardcore Democrat, but one of my best friends. And kind of, has thoughts like you do, Richard, about gun control. In fact, he did this really cool commercial. Woo, that
you trained her to do that. It was Frank's idea.
That's very impressive. Sorry, guys. Sorry. He did this really cool commercial that went viral. So he's a Democrat, but he served in Afghanistan. So while he was talking about his gun platform, he assembled and disassembled his rifle blindfolded, and was like, "All right, Republican guy from Missouri, see if you can do this." Anyway, point being, and one part of him running was that he promised that he wanted to be one and done. Like, that was his thing. He said, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do what I'm going to tell you I'm going to do, because my incentive is not going to be that as soon as I'm in office, I'm running again. Because when he was Secretary of State, basically he got elected to Secretary of State and immediately started running for Senate. I mean, we were always joking with him, like, what do you do now other than campaign for your next possible position?
Well, and see, the other thing, even the bigger point than that, is getting the money out of politics. Because if there are a lot of other countries have a model where they severely regulate the amount of time and the amount of money that can go into a campaign, so that you can't just be on this perpetual campaign. I mean, you realize Donald Trump is still campaigning. I mean, like, he still has campaign rallies. He's already got his real. So there are other countries where that sort of thing is legally prohibited because you take the money out of it, and because there's special interests on both sides of it. So that has to deal them out of the equation. Because for as much as people focus on corrupt politicians, career politicians, and that's all valid, the real money is in the private sector. What they're trying to do is be in the public sector to garner the influence and then cash in by going to work in the industries that last last year they were regulating. Now they're a lobbyist for. You pull that out
And
of
they've
it.
tried to pass
people
that
had
law.
the-
Basically, you can't go into certain sectors of work after you run as your politician, and they don't pass that, right? Like,
Well, that's right, because neither side of it wants it, because both sides are taking money from those lobbyists.
The other thing too that actually bugs me about government right now is that you can't have conversations with people because the media packages things up in a way that people don't understand. Like the skinny repeal that just came up recently. I looked at it and I was like, I actually kind of thought that a couple of the ideas was good on it. But the problem was everybody goes, oh, they get stuck on the word Obamacare. So they're like, oh, whether you hate Obama, it's like, well, fuck Obamacare. But then I'm like, and I've actually had conversations, I think I told you this, where people are like, yeah, the fucking Obamacare, man. But, I don't know what the problem is. I mean, we have the Affordable Care Act now. I'm like, what?
It's the same thing, right?
But people don't realize it's the same shit.
Right.
Yeah.
They put Obamacare, so then it becomes either you back it because you're a Democrat or you hate it because you're Republican. But that's why it's like, oh, you have this name for shit. Like that's why you sit there and start talking about, hey, the Affordable Care Act. Well, this next one they were coming out was, I forgot the name of it that they had for it, but the nickname is the skinny, repeal. I was like, oh, they're making it to where it's no longer mandated that as a private citizen you would have to have insurance without a penalty. And I'm all, that kind of works, because if you can't afford insurance to begin with, then we're going to fuck you at the end of the year, and then now we're going to tax you on top of that. Which,
Well, I didn't carry health coverage, and I got super
10%, right?
super fucked. I was like, how much am I paying? Come on.
No, it works out to where they will fuck you.
Yeah.
And so
bad. And then you get penalties and interest.
right. So,
Compounded.
and if you think about it, I mean, you probably just let it slip through the cracks because you weren't thinking. You obviously can afford health care,
Sure.
right? But there's a lot of people out there that can't afford. And
Most people.
Right? And then now they don't get health care, but then now we stick them at the end of the year. Like, oh, and by the way,
Stick 'em.
we're going to fucking penalize you X amount of cash for not buying health care. So I'm like, so wait a minute. So now you cost me money and I didn't have fucking health care to begin with. This is fucked up. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, there is that, but I to base my argument for single payer, I point to top tax
Let's hear
bracket.
the liberal side of this.
All right, get ready. I talk to top tax bracket people, like definitely.
Like,
I don't know how you're doing, Laura. Definitely these two guys.
So other Republicans you speak to.
Right. Okay, there you go. So right now you're paying a top tier tax bracket, right? But what's happening is the people who are not properly insured are using the emergency room, and they're using it like a primary doctor, right?
Yep.
So they're waiting until things get really bad. It's something that could have been treated a lot sooner. They go to the emergency room or they have an
No,
accident,
it's
whatever.
not true. They go for a cough, for a sneeze.
No,
for
that's my
anything.
point. No, this
No,
is my
they use
point.
it as
This is
their
my
healthcare,
point.
yeah.
Oh.
Because they don't have proper health care,
Yes.
they go to the emergency room because they don't turn people away at the emergency
and
room.
they're never going to pay
So-
their fucking bill.
Right,
Never.
exactly.
And we
But
pay
that's
the bill.
my point.
Which these liberals love. He
No,
loves
no,
it.
I don't.
He
No.
loves that we pay the
No,
high tax,
no.
and there's people on 5 and 6 generations, probably here in Las Vegas, of welfare.
No.
5 and 6 generations that have
No.
never thought about getting a job working. Why? Because we pay every month their stipend. It drives me fucking crazy. You know how
no,
much money
I'm saying the
have to pay
opposite
in
of
taxes
that.
every year? It makes me fucking sick to know
understand.
that there's people out there that
But-
get a job. Why would I go get a job? I have 6 kids. I'm gonna make less money working than the state gives me.
But here's
And then I will stop getting mad at them. I get mad at the government for setting up a situation that way. Where I've had guys that I have a friend who lost his job, and I'm like, well, I can go work here for minimum wage, but right now I'm getting paid X amount per week. It's like,
And I just got to go to a
well,
McDonald's
shit, you
and
know
show
what I mean?
that I'm trying
I
to
might
get
as well
a
just
job.
fucking chill.
But to finish my point, though, here's what I'm saying. If we go down to the emergency room and we find somebody who would have is costing us tenfold, because they don't have proper insurance, okay, tonight because they're in the emergency room, we're all paying for it, okay? We're all throwing good money after bad, but you guys are paying more of it than I am. Right. So that's my point to you. What I'm saying is I understand the frustration about you don't want people getting handouts or things for free, but there is also another way to look at it, which is you're already paying for a broken system, and through your taxes, you're paying more than I am. So what I'm saying is, if we get those people properly insured, it's not gonna make you any happier with them. I get the frustration,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is, it will eradicate that problem I'm talking about that's going on
because what
tonight.
you're saying is the fact that they'll have insurance, they'll get preventive care.
Yes.
So now instead of us paying for
Right.
surgery to fix a blown artery because they had a stroke, and now we're gonna have to take care of them to save life.
Yes.
We could have got them on cholesterol medication.
That's what I'm saying.
I get it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
they're just gonna go and take that EBT card and go to Walmart and buy a fucking 200 more donuts.
It is abused. It is.
Super abused. It's
well,
ridiculous.
there at a certain point you can't.
And that does
get
drive me nuts. But then again, it's not. To me, it's like this: if they make a rule and a fighter does it right, it's like, well, I'm not really mad at the fighter for taking advantage of that loophole. It's the people in power that created that loophole that as a human they're taking advantage of.
Like, I understand there might be a time in your life. I think everyone maybe should get a year, maybe 2 years max that you're allowed to be an assistance. You know, if you want to use 6 months now,
it happens.
9 months later. But once you hit
if you're
your
on
cap,
assistance, like for example, those guys have an EBT card and they don't work. It's like, well, fuck, then why am I paying city taxes to this guy to fucking clean the side of the freeway?
Yeah.
Or we have envelopes that need to be stuffed. You know what I mean? Like I realize that, you're 200 pounds overweight. Well, why don't we have you doing that job? In a sense, it's like we already do that. I mean, if you think about it, our prison system is one of the most cheapest forms of labor that we have. So I don't understand why we have no problem making our prisoner work for 39 cents on the fucking dollar, right? But why don't we have an issue with having people that are on welfare? It's like, well, I'm going to have someone come in and evaluate you and go, okay, you have no reason why you can't. Guess what? Next Tuesday, you're going to show up and pick up garbage. We're not going to pay.
If you don't, then you don't get next week's
and be drug
Walmart
tested.
card. And be drug tested.
I agree with that.
Well, but so as a society, and see, I'm not the bleeding heart liberal. I'm very judgmental, and there's plenty of people in the world. There's plenty of people in the world that I think we would be much better without. I mean, if I had that's the superpower I would want.
I can't get him on
is just
total board with eugenics, but he's starting to listen to me.
Yeah. So but that's actually to my point, because as a society we don't euthanize people, right? I mean, we don't.
Why not?
Well, that's a separate
at a
argument,
baseline level, we can have this. I think we should sterilize people. At a certain point, when you hit a certain level in our society, we're like, all right, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah,
and
you're a piece of shit, and you have 12.
Well,
kids
once we
around.
identify that you're a piece of shit, why do we have to wait for you to have the 15th kid? You know what I mean? Like, let's nail you at 3. It's like, all right, you have 3 kids, 3 different mothers or 3 different fathers. You know what I mean? Like, you've been on welfare for the last 12 years. You already have a couple petty crimes on you. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know what? You can't have no more children. Boom, injection, sterilized, male or female, no more children.
But since we don't, and I'm just talking in the now. I mean, we're just talking practically. I'm not even necessarily arguing against it. I'm just saying here's where we're at right now. Because we don't put people down, we don't euthanize our weak, we subsidize them, right? I mean, that's a decision we make as a society. So this is my point to why, and this isn't just a new thing because Trump came along. I've been saying this for years, as long as Frank's known me, he's heard it. When people say, well, you know who's got the inside track on running the country is a businessman. Because they've handled a budget, and that if they run the country like they ran a business, it's going to be good. That's actually not the case, because the country is not for profit. The country is a nonprofit. That's how it's set up. So a businessman, what do they do with
church is for profit?
Well, yeah, right. But it's like, what is a
podcast is not long enough.
Touching everything, might as well touch that.
But what does a businessman do?
Good money and tax free.
What does a businessman do when somebody underperforms? He fires them, right?
Sure.
Okay, that's the way a business is supposed to work. In this country, we don't fire our citizens; we subsidize them. Whether or not you think it's a good idea, that's just what we do. So in reality, the businessman is the least equipped to handle that. The person who's the best equipped to handle it is somebody who's had some experience with a nonprofit. And I mean, that's kind of a tough way to look at it, because I get the base thinking of, well, it makes sense. If you've handled a budget in the private sector, you can handle a budget in the public sector.
In some
but
aspects,
it's different.
it does make sense as far as like being a good businessman, because we do deals with foreign governments. So the fact that Trump,
but they're not bilateral. And that's the thing. A business does bilateral deals. A businessman is my business, Donald's business. We work it out together. There's none of this. Why are there 5 different business owners at this table and they all want a different thing? And I think that's one thing, I mean, just looking at it objectively, that Trump is having to really try to navigate, is to be at a table and be, wait a second, we're not all interested in the same thing, because I want to do a deal with you and I want to do a deal with Laura, but Laura and Cowboy hate each other, so they don't want to work with me, because then they
businesses on that level, when you're an international businessman, isn't just bilateral. I mean, there has to be other issues being brought up. If you're trying to, put a hotel in a certain area, there's different people that are coming on board, and you're dealing with multiple groups as far as like, all right, this institute's interested in, they're very much on the economy that brought in by vacationers. But if I go in this direction, this is the construction workers and this is the homeowners over here. Are they going to be? I mean, I would think that they also have to deal with people that are multiple people at the table with different interests.
I think it's sometimes the case, but I'm sorry. I think sometimes it's the case, but also now you're factoring in cultures, religions, a lot of stuff that doesn't have to do with making money. I mean, sometimes people are less interested in making money than they are getting rid of, your
that's the thing. You're back. You're back to what motivates you. What is your incentive? And it's easy for us to look at that and say the incentive should be to reduce the debt, increase, GDP, increase the GDP, get the country out of debt, get us in a good financial situation. That seems like a very businessy platform. Yeah. But you're right. Other countries are not motivated in the same way. But what I was going to say earlier was the problem is no one wants pain. No one wants to say, I'm sorry, people on Social Security, you were going to have to work longer than your parents did. Oh,
that's right. Did. Yes, that's a very good point.
It's just going to suck. And I'm sorry, but there's no fixing it.
And here's why a politician won't say that. The politician's answer is always a 4-year solution. It's amazing how it just coincides with the term, right? If a politician ever came out and said, listen, I'm Richard Hunter, I'm running for president, I do have a solution. And here's the bad news. None of us are going to be alive to see it. Your kids, probably not. Their kids actually will probably benefit from it a little bit, but we're doing it for them and not ourselves.
But we're all going to suffer. No one wants pain. No one wants to make less money. No one's.
We're very selfish at the root of all our issues. And that's the reason why. Right now, us pulling out of the Paris Agreement. Right, on an international level, because I travel overseas a lot. Every time I talk to somebody, I'm in the UK. It's that is holy fuck, you guys did this. It's that's kind of very much the forefront of the conversation. Here locally in the US, I don't think any of my friends besides you and I have ever brought that up. It's you guys pulled out of this. It's as far as the Americans, because again, it doesn't hurt us at all as far as right now. It's global warming, this and that. It's shit, what, in 60 years I'm going to be fucking 90. I don't give a fuck.
What is this is very interesting to me, and something else I've always wanted to mention to you, Donald, is that you and I have something in common, that we're very close to our grandmas.
Sure.
And this conversation is kind of reminding me of that, because my grandma is the one who got me politically active. So long before I could vote, she would take me into the voting booth with her so I could kind of see how it worked and everything. And then I would even volunteer on some. I'm so old that there were campaigns where I would actually lick stamps, on mail that went out, and I'd sort the mail.
People still lick stamps on mail.
Yeah. But they would now they send you an email for campaigns. But I would sort the mail by zip code and things like that. And the seed that planted was exactly what you were saying earlier about young people not realizing how important it is to get involved. Because even as a kid, when I was doing that, I was still years away from voting, I felt like I was invested in that campaign. I felt like I'd done something and I'd contributed. I'd voted even before I could vote. So turning 18 was a much bigger deal to me than turning 21 for that reason. Now, did your grandmother have any kind of influence on you like that?
Oh, yeah. Not political by any means, but just the way I lived my whole life, always.
Tell me about that, because I see her at the fights and everything, and in fact, I kind of sat in her vicinity at a couple of post-fight press conferences. She's kind of interesting to eavesdrop on.
She always would quote Abraham Lincoln saying, "Whatever you do in life, I don't care what you do, be a good one. If you're gonna be a trash guy, fucking be a good one." That's what she always tell me. And another thing was, don't ever paint yourself in a corner. Don't ever when you're doing your contract with the UFC, don't bow down to them and get yourself painted into a corner where you're stuck, And that was always something that hit home to me. So I always left my way out.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's the one thing about if I ever have kids, the one thing that would suck about being an old dad is they wouldn't get to, now they'd have a great grandma and my mom,
sure.
But I'm widening that gap, you know what I'm saying? So the kid wouldn't get to enjoy them the whole time.
Actually, that's one point of advice that I give even right now, starting to talk to Bella, but as they get older, talk about not painting yourself in a corner.
Yeah.
Extremely important in relationships.
Sure.
And that's why, you think about it, that's the one area I think that most of us, I personally fucked up on the worst, is that, when you first meet someone, you put your best foot forward, you put that mask on, you're like, oh yeah, I'm okay with this. this. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with this. Yeah, no
smoke
problem.
and mirrors
Because you
fade
just like as a guy, I'm just like, look, I just want to, you know. Like, and now since I've gotten older, I tell the wife, I'm like, no, I'm not cool with that. She's like, really? You've been? I'm like, yeah, but I was just trying to get laid. Now I'm like, now I'm being me, and it's so much harder to fight your way into like, well, this is what I want. Where it's like, shit, if I just had been honest to begin with, we wouldn't have been arguing. I'd be like, this is acceptable. This is unacceptable. But you know, we paint ourselves in corner in relationships all the time.
I think that's a mistake that 99% of people make is when they start dating somebody, they don't have the confidence in themselves. So what they do is they go, okay, Laura seems to be cool with like the 85% I'm showing her, so I'll just keep the 15% back, and right off the bat, I'm like leading a double life because I'm not really showing you everything.
My husband did the opposite. So he's 13 years older than I am, and he was a total asshole when I met him.
Oh, yeah?
Total asshole.
How so? Like,
Just,
what would he do?
Well, he probably didn't learn that because I mean, like now at 38 years of age, if I had to start over,
he was
right off the
when I
bat,
met him.
my wife, the new one's going to be like, "Look, this is what I think. This is what I don't think. This is cool. If you don't like it, fucking bounce. I'll find someone who does." You know what I mean? Like, So I mean, but when I was 22 when I met my wife, I'm like, what do you want me to be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm cool with that. That's great. Like, what is that? You know
I say it jokingly because he wasn't an asshole, but he was you know, he was late 30s and he, you know,
didn't have time to bullshit.
He had lived a single guy life, didn't really see himself getting married. He made me date him for 7 years. So that's another. I mean, when my
he ran
son
you through the fucking gauntlet, huh?
Yeah, he did. When my son is at the age where he might start thinking about that stuff, that is the biggest piece of advice I have because I did the whole. I got married when I was 23 and was married for 6 months. You know, I did the whole Midwest Christian upbringing. Like, what do you do
think
after
about
you get to
marriage before
college? You
30.
get married. You know, that's the goal in life.
Yeah, because you don't even know who you are. Like that's one rule. Like it worked out with me and my wife, but I mean, we've had so many pains through our relationship of being married to a guy who's a world champ fighter, living in Vegas.
Different stages.
You can only imagine the turmoil and bullshit I've dragged my wife through throughout the years in my 20s, right? And now I'm sitting there going, "Fuck! If I'd have married her now,
I got a pretty good idea."
Yeah, she'd be she'd be like, "Oh, dude, you're the greatest guy in the world." But with so many growing pains, and luckily she was able to be mature enough to sit there and go, "Okay, well, he's being an asshole right now, but he's going to get his shit together." And
goal.
But that's why I should, as a man and a woman both, I don't think marriage shouldn't even be in your vocabulary until you're in your 30s.
Agree.
Wow. Now, see, this Cowboy, remember when I said, what is the thing that somebody hasn't talked to you about that would be really interesting to talk about? We found it.
We got it.
You're my age, aren't you?
What's my age?
I don't know. What's my age? What's my age?
I'm 34.
I'm 34, yeah.
There you go.
Years young.
Seriously,
spirited.
I have enjoyed hearing you explore some of these themes. So I think we found the thing that nobody asked Cowboy about that is interesting to hear about.
See, Cowboy, you know, it like now, okay, not 34. If you tell me in the next couple of years you're going to settle down and get married, then I would say that your wife, you know, she's be lucky now.
Right.
But if she told me, if we were having the same conversation, the 24-year-old version of you,
right,
I would look at your girl and be like, you're in for a rough fucking ride. You know what I mean? Like, because guys are going to be guys, and whether you allow it to happen or you suppress it, because then you can go ahead and be a good husband at 24 and not do the shit that a normal man and you know, and sow your oats, so to say. But then, you know what? Those are the same guys I see that resent their fucking wives. And they treat them like shit.
Because girls that fall in love with guys like you and I, like alpha males, the things that they fall in love with us for are the things that end up hating us for in the end.
That is 100% true. And that's why you have to I'm telling you, my husband, I say this jokingly, but he's an asshole. Like, but I love him in his assholishness. Like, that is what I was attracted to.
Also true, though, statistically, though.
Is that in your vows?
You have a high probability of success in your marriage, because that's one of the things that they look at. They say that on marriages, you know, because nowadays there's always this crisis of why marriages are failing at such a higher rate than ever before in our society, modern society. And one of them is that for the most successful marriages are when the man is 8 years or older than his counterpart. Oh. Because of where we are maturity-wise. It kind of goes back to the, like, you know, look, man, you get with a young buck and he's fucking still trying to take on the world, and, you know, you don't want to marry that guy. Let's marry the guy that now is ready to settle down, and has some success. He can put, like, that's why I'll tell my daughter, like, why would you want to marry a guy who's your age, just out of college? What the fuck does he have to offer?
Yeah.
What the fuck do you have to offer? But if you got a guy who's in his late 30s, it's like he has a home, he has credit score.
He's a way better father now than he would have been too. Not so much. He partied, not drugs party, but like was out drinking every night, like made a ton of money early and sold his company type thing and was just out at the bar all the time. That was when I met him. He was the guy that was out at the bar and bought everybody drinks. But then like he matured into
the guy that you were like,
yeah.
It's funny what you say. What girls love about us, then they want to change about us, and then I make it one step further. I have friends that, like, fucking alpha, and then they find that girl, and that girl domesticates them, and then that girl is gonna go find it. I tell them, like, hey, be careful, man. Your girl still likes alphas.
Yes.
So you fucking better watch it because she's going to fucking bounce and find. Then there's that other alpha that walks in and she's like, oh, look at him. I'm like, holy shit, that's what you had, but you domesticated him, you cut his nuts, and now, you know what I mean? Like,
well,
so
I can assure
you have to keep a certain.
I've not domesticated.
You have to keep it. My wife makes jokes, but you have to have a certain bite back. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm going to fucking hold my ground here because if I'm a pussy and you just walk over me, then you're going to fucking leave me for a real man.
Now, the opposite has always happened with me, because what happens with me is a girl gets mad at her dad, so she dates me, okay?
You do look like the bad choice.
Right.
Like
so she does it to piss off her dad, right? And he doesn't like the idea at first. But then when he gets to know me and he sees how responsible and squared away I am, she loses interest because I'm boring. But then he likes me more than she does. So long after she dumps me, the dad's like, well, honey, now hold on. I think we're being a little hasty here. Seems like a nice
Richard
young man.
Like a great catch.
Let's do this. To wrap it up, Travis, bring up our iTunes, because we haven't done this in a couple of weeks, and we need to just read a couple of iTunes comments from people. Frank, why don't you take that? By the way, these are people who have gone to iTunes. They've searched Phone Booth Fighting MMA, clicked on the 5-star review, which is very beneficial to us, and taken a moment to write a favorable line or two. And we like to read these on the air. What does Toddzilla have to say?
Okay, so Toddzilla72. I'm a longtime Frank Mir fan and new Richard Hunter fan. I really like the wide variety of topics on this podcast. Frank and Richard have a great chemistry and a passion for MMA. These guys make my morning commute enjoyable. Keep up the great work, guys, and I hope to see Frank taking limbs in the cage soon. Thanks again, Todd Porterfield.
All right, awesome, appreciate that, Todd. Let's see here. How about great show, great guy? That's from, what is that, Michael Sean 09?
Great.
Oh, you want to skip that one, Frank?
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were.
Sorry. Frank, the guy said he was
I don't know how you can read it this close. I'm like having like.
Nah, you know what it is, Cowboy? I'm sorry. Russ Roman said Frank is well spoken, and he didn't want me to skip over that.
Oh, that's a good one.
Read it out
Frank,
loud,
Russ, let's give him a shout. Russ Roman.
Russ,
Frank is a well spoken as they come. Richard is a respected media member. Great listen. See, that was a quick, nice one.
All right, what else we got there, Frank?
Let's see. Dajmer 911. I'm a longtime Frank Mir fan and now Richard Hunter fan. Whether you follow MMA or not, this is a great podcast. These guys are always have an interesting subject matter and guests of all types. Well, that's never been truer than tonight, huh?
That's right.
Check it out.
That's right. All right, a couple more here. One from 406 Max. I love this pod and look forward to it twice weekly. It's like I have two friends in Vegas, even though I am in Montana. Frank has always been my favorite fighter, and Richard has become my favorite dog activist. I love the mix of MMA, politics, and random stories. The brothel stories to the random stories. When they're not lost in the mountains of California, never disappoint. Keep it up, and thank you. I got us lost in the mountains of California about 6 months ago. Frank fell asleep in the car, and when he woke up, neither one of us knew where we were.
Been to some places of northern LA or California I never knew existed.
What's our last one?
Can I read this last
one?
Oh,
you want to read the last one?
I would love to read the last one just because I
Laura.
read ahead and it's great.
Oh, okay. What you got, Laura?
This is from Libtard Love.
That's what I used to do in high school when I had to read out loud too. I'd read ahead and get mine ready.
I did. I had to practice. I was practicing in my head so hard. Just wanted to stop in and give you two big thumbs up. Hands down, a favorite podcast of mine. And I've turned many other podcast listeners onto you guys as well. Although I don't see eye to eye with Richard on many political views.
Like Cowboy?
This is why I'm reading this.
Yeah.
It's so apropos. He continues to impress me with his non-combative arguments, I would agree with that are contrary to my own beliefs. Hence, the title of Libtard Love.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
Well, he thinks he's coming with factual liberal statements.
The honesty that is portrayed by both of you is genuine and easily relatable, which keeps me coming back again and again. Keep them coming, and hope to see Frank back in the cage very soon.
That's a very nice compliment to get. I appreciate that.
It really is.
Cowboy's not completely sold on it yet, though, right?
I feel like I gained some libtard love tonight.
Thank you.
I thought
There's enough libtard love
I
to
feel
go
like
along
you have
around
created
in
a
here.
new-
Next time you
knew-
fire up the solar panels, you're going to be
Ask me
Think-
who I
thinking of
voted
me.
for. I think
Loving
you'll be
it.
impressed. No, but I feel like we've created like a new subgenre
Yeah.
of political people, and that is the judgy liberal. And I think I really like a judgy liberal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I believe there should be more judgment in the world. Nothing bugs me worse than when people go, "Who am I to judge?" I'm like, start judging. There needs to be more judgment in the world. Let's start tonight. All right, Frank. Hey, tell them about the Amazon banner, and then we got to go.
Yeah, basically, anytime you go on our website, Phone Booth Fighting, please check out our Amazon banner. If you click through that to do all your online shopping, we get a small percentage kicked back to us, just a few pennies on the dollar, back to the show that we use to help eventually one time maybe pay Travis. But as you can
That's
see,
right.
we use it for the upkeep of the show and keep improving our product and hopefully keep bringing a quality show to everybody.
Banner's right there on the front of phoneboothfighting.com. Laura, everybody can follow you on Twitter at Laura_Sanko.
Correct.
Anything else you like to plug there? Anything else?
No,
Anything we should do?
same handle on Instagram. I'm a little bit more active there, but I got to tell you, I am super excited about learning about this because
Mm-hmm.
I am best friends with the UPS guy. Amazon Prime is the worst thing that ever happened to
Please
me.
go
So
forward.
I will.
Let us encourage
I will.
you. Just
next time I come here, you guys are in a lush, leather coated.
Now be careful. I
Love
think
it.
we get to see what you buy. No.
just
really?
well, we can't tell it's you, but we do
Okay.
see the items that get
Kind of
ordered.
like the
yeah.
Bunny Ranch receipt thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of like that. Yeah.
Right.
What about you, Cowboy? Anything we need to mention?
No, I'm trying to fight in November.
Okay. That's the next time. Boy, that's a long layoff
Yeah.
for you.
No,
That's
I mean,
yeah.
so-
2 months.
Yeah.
Well, they have all of August off.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. What's do you know right offhand where November is going to be? Do you have like a
Las
city
Vegas.
picked out?
I think there's one either here or New York.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, come back to Las Vegas.
I
I
love
like
fighting
having
here.
you. Like having
Taxes
you
are a
around
lot
here.
better here in Vegas.
Taxes are way
Yeah.
better.
New York.
New York, shit,
brutal.
is it? I can
Brutal.
imagine.
Brutal.
Well, I'm really glad that both of you guys came by, and of course, watch Laura on the Tuesday Night Contender Series exclusively on UFC Fight Pass. It's great getting a chance to talk to you. And I'm telling you something, even though I've interviewed you a handful of times, see, this in-depth conversation, this is where you really you learn more about people, and I'm impressed. Sometimes you talk to people for a long time, and you're glad that you never had to do it before because there
Sure.
wasn't a lot there. But actually, Cowboy's got a lot of depth. That's
He
not
does.
doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me. All right, Frank, tell them how to follow the show on social media, and we're out of here.
Phone Booth Fighting on Facebook and Instagram, and just Phone Booth Fight if you're a Snapchat or Twitter go-abouts.
All right. If you brandished a firearm here in the bunker, please make sure you take custody of it before you leave. We don't want any guns laying around. And thanks to everybody who has been a part of this one. Travis is always doing an awesome job producing, and we appreciate him for that. We brought you a T-shirt too, Laura.
Oh, I'm super excited.
Do you like a small or a medium? Probably small
extra
for
I'm
your.
an extra,
Extra
small,
small.
but that's
Come
okay.
on.
I
Okay.
could just shrink it really hard.
Come on, Rick.
Yeah.
You can't just use
I will
extra
wash
small.
that thing so
Yeah.
hot and
All
dry
right. There
it
you
and
go.
we'll be
Yeah. The
good to
smallest
go.
we have is small now. Cowboy, can you wear the medium
Not a
ladies
fucking chance.
shirt?
I'm a welterweight now.
Okay. All right. We're gonna find.
I've had a rough go the last 2 fights, but I'm still a welterweight. I'm here.
We're gonna find you one that fits you. Okay. Yeah. What's the size there? That's our
Check her
model,
out.
but I could give that.
Ooh,
one
it's
to
a
him.
large.
There it is.
Large
Winning.
good?
Winning.
Okay, there you go. All right, everybody's got a Phone Booth Fighting shirt. You can get yours in the merchandise section of phoneboothfighting.com. For Frank Mir, for Laura Sanko, for Donald Cowboy Cerrone, and for Travis over there, I'm Richard Hunter, and we'll see you right back here next time on Phone Booth Fighting.